Welcome back to the City of Miami Commission meeting for September 12, 2024. I am your chairwoman, Christine King, and I am joined by my colleagues, Vice Chair Joe Carollo, District 1 Commissioner Miguel Gabella, District 2 Commissioner Damian Pardo, District 3 and District 4 Commissioner Manolo Reyes. Thank you again for your advocacy. Last but not least. Last but not least, thank you again for your advocacy. Thank you again for showing up. Let's get going again. Let me see where we left off.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner?
I have a pocket item that and rightly so. I see it. I heard Commissioner Gavela.
Hold on,
State-
Commissioner Reyes. Pocket items, we usually don't take up pocket items because unless there's an emergency because.
No, it is.
It's an emergency?
No, it is not an
Is
emergency.
it time sensitive?
It is.
If it's not time sensitive
Ma-
or an
Madam Chair,
emergency,
if
I
you-
would
if
ask.
you allow me to
okay,
finish.
but let me finish. I would ask that you adhere to the rules that we have established.
Yes, ma'am.
Pocket items because it does not give the community an opportunity to review the item. If it is not time sensitive and or an emergency, I would ask that we hold it until the next.
The only
commission
thing that I'm
meeting.
saying that you distributed for everybody to consider, to read it, and this could be for further discussion some other time, or that instead of being talking about what are we going to do if it is only promises, and then we have something that we can start working with.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Again, you've distributed to all of us.
That's
and
right.
Again, for pocket items, I'm
Okay.
very.
It's a resolution.
Okay, I'm very sensitive to the community having an opportunity to see the
Okay.
items before them unless it's time sensitive and or an emergency.
Okay.
So,
One more area of concern, and that is we have an ordinance that before anything is adopted by this commission, we need to see the financial impact
Yes.
that it would have on the city. And we need to find out how much money this will take from the general fund to bring here, and then how are those monies in the general fund going to be replaced?
well, I just received it. I haven't had a chance to read it. I can't really read it now and be the chair.
The purpose of distributing is to start the wheels turning, and we can start working into, some of the concerns that Commissioner Gavela had, and to show that we are not all talk and no action.
Okay.
Let's start taking action. The purpose is I know we have to go through fiscal impact, blah, 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 all of that. The administration will have it, and then we can meet and we can discuss this, and everybody can discuss it with the administration.
Okay.
But it's just to show that, we not only talk, but we put our money where our mouth is.
And I see that
Okay?
it has something to do with D1, and you just received it as well?
I just received it as well, and remember, at the end of the day, I represent D1, and while I appreciate what's going on here, this is no substitute if what's going on is for to take the vote, and so no. I'm not. I need to study that. I need to see what's going on. I hear what you have to say, and so forth. So.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, because we're going to walk into a few items that everyone feels passionately about, so I'm going to ask you to please, through the chair, and wait until I recognize you before you start speaking. I'm also going to have our city clerk put the timer on, so each of us have 5 minutes to speak, and then if we need to speak again, we'll come back with 3 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. I want everybody to be heard. First, some housekeeping issues. Someone spoke this morning and had something to say about me saying, do not come and address one particular individual, address the entire body. And I'd like the city attorney to read what is in our rules already from the statement. Page 2, Mr.
Yes.
City Attorney, would you please read for the record paragraph 1, 2, 3,
Four,
the
number
fourth
4.
paragraph? Please read that, because this is not something that I am making up, and
Yes.
I am not trying to take anyone's First Amendment rights away. I did not say that you could not speak. If Mr. City Attorney can read paragraph 4.
Absolutely. Any person making offensive remarks or who becomes unruly in the commission chambers will be barred from further attending city commission meetings and may be subject to arrest. No clapping, applauding, heckling, or verbal outbursts in support or opposition to a speaker or his or her remarks shall be permitted. No signs or placards shall be allowed in the commission chambers. Persons exiting the commission chambers shall do so quietly. And Madam Chair, I'll be adding that to my statement henceforth so that I'll read it before every city commission meeting.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And it is unfortunate that we even have to make such a statement for our public commenters. I am the biggest proponent and advocate for public comments and for every voice to be heard, but it doesn't give you a right to just be offensive in all of the things that you just said, and I will be upholding that moving forward. We left off on our resolutions. We addressed RE 2, 3, and 4. I am asking my colleagues if there's any of the resolution items that you would like to pull for discussion.
Which ones are you talking about from?
We're in the REs now. We
REs.
finished the consent agenda and the PH items. We're on resolutions now.
RE 12.
You want to pull RE 12 for discussion. Got it. Commissioner Pardo, would you like to pull any of the RE items for discussion?
I need,
You, if you have any that you,
Yes, I would like to, RE5, I just received the map.
all right, so you want to pull that for discussion?
That's right.
RE5.
Or only if I could make my comments that there are certain streets that
Right,
I
we'll
would like
do
to
that.
see
Okay.
included in the sweeping.
Okay, so
You
we'll
see,
pull
like
that one for
22nd Avenue,
discussion.
37th Avenue, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Is that all? Any others?
no, I need a second if you don't mind.
No, I was speaking to Commissioner Reyes.
Oh, okay.
See, I pulled it. Oh. Yeah. Oops.
Chair, if I may, while everyone's reviewing the RE items, just for the record, RE 10 will need to be amended. It contains a blank in the second whereas clause to add resolution number R-24-0330, in addition to an exhibit that will need to be substituted.
So RE 10 will be as amended. Thank you, Mr. City Clerk.
Madam Chair, I also have that RE9 is going to be modified. That's the freebie award reso. That's on my list for modification.
What's going on with it? Sorry.
RE 9 and 10 will be as amended.
Yeah.
There's no modifications though, because it's a piggyback.
Right, but what's
Yeah,
going
it's a
on?
piggyback.
For which
No,
one?
I don't think. I think he just.
Okay, all right.
If there's
That's
no
on my
amendment
list.
to
Let
it.
me just
Yeah.
trust but verify.
Yeah.
One second.
It's because it's a piggyback off of another solicitation. It shouldn't have to be amended.
Mr. City Attorney, while I'm waiting for my colleagues to finish their review, would you please read the second reading item titles in for the record? That would be SR1, SR2, and SR6. Oh, SR2, 1, 2, 4, and 6, please.
Yes, ma'am.
SR1, SR2?
Those are in play. SR1, 2, 4, and 6.
All right.
Okay.
SR1, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 2, Section 2-211, titled Administration, Departments, Planning, Building, and Zoning, Department Denial or Revocation of Certificate of Use, to conform Section 2-211 to the motion approved by the City Commission and to remove language related to repeat offenders containing a severability clause and providing for an immediate effective date. SR2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 10, Section 2-817 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Administration, Code Enforcement, Administrative Costs, Fines, Liens, to amend and provide for the Code Enforcement Board or Special Magistrate to consider all mitigations of code enforcement liens containing a severability clause and providing for an immediate effective date. SR4, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, City Code, titled Administration Officers, by creating new Division 5, Section 2-160, to create the office of Inspector General, providing minimum qualifications, appointment, and terms of office, providing the functions, authority, and powers, providing for administrative staff, providing a procedure for finalization of reports and recommendations containing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
I'd like to pull for discussion.
Chair, I'm sorry. There's one more title, SR 6. Mr. City Attorney, there's one more title to be read into the record. That's SR 6.
Thank you,
Chair,
Mr.
if I may, RE10, I'm going to need more explanation on it. It seems like it's too much.
And SR 6, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 10, Article 6, Section 101 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended City Code titled Buildings, Unsafe Structures, and Unsafe Structures Panel to require certain residential building owners to house and pay for reasonable relocation costs of displaced residents, containing a severability clause providing for an effective date. That's the end of the second.
Thank you. So right now, may I have a motion for RE1, RE6, RE8, RE9, RE11, RE13. May I have a motion?
Move.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Go,
Aye.
well, hold on.
Sorry, guys. I'm kind of
Hold
slow
on.
today. RE1,
RE1,
okay?
RE1, RE6, RE8,
Okay, espérate. RE8, okay, got it.
RE9,
RE9, okay.
RE11, and RE13.
RE13, yes.
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. RE5 is up for discussion.
No, it's the only
Commissioner
thing,
Reyes?
the only I only want to get the administration to take into consideration streets that need to be included in the map for sweeping. You see, for example, 37th Avenue. I don't see it here. I don't see 22nd Avenue. I don't see it here. So I want you to consider including those streets also on street sweeping. And we have streets that they are county streets and all of that, but we are also cleaning and sweeping 8th Street, which is with State Road, and 42nd Avenue, which is also a county state road. But I believe that we should try to keep our streets clean. And I have a street sweeper that I will be doing, and I will be doing. We have been doing some cleaning of our streets, and also power cleaning our sidewalks and our streets. So that's my only comment on it, and I move it. If anybody,
Second.
So I have a
Yeah,
motion.
before you move it, I'd just like to add to move it, but just one thing, on the 17th Avenue corridor, same thing, it's a county, and if I can get some,
Yeah, so commissioners, what we'll do is, because this is a retroactive approval, right, for the use of the outside vendor for street sweeping, we intend on putting out an RFP to do a new
yeah, we spoke
solicitation.
about that.
Yeah, and so what we'll do is we'll incorporate those recommendations into the new solicitation so that we have more coverage.
that's all I want.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
was RE9 done, of the freebie thing?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank
You
you.
can bring it back if you like.
No, thank you.
Okay, for discussion,
10.
RE10.
Mr. Manager, can you explain this? This seems like, well, I'm trying to read this. It says, as amended, the 5-year financial plan, the strategic plan, and the multi-year capital plan pursuant to resolution number so-and-so, as amended, and authorizing the city manager to make any necessary changes to adjust, amend, allocate, appropriate the budget and any part thereof regarding City of Miami service and resources and it keeps going on. It seems that this is like we approve a budget and then we're given the administration authorization to make any changes without coming back to us. It's a little concerning. So if you could explain this, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this.
This one is the dollars for the ARPA, the MFE funds that we had freed up money in the general fund from revenue loss that we are using for the MFE program. It's just to give the city manager some flexibility, and I think that's standard language for the city attorney's office. That's part of the resolution.
But only for those funds.
Yes, only for those funds.
Okay, how much do we have in those funds?
$13 million is being transferred in
That's a
MFE.
lot. Okay. All right. Mr. Manager, anything you want to say to that?
No, remember, this was to avoid the deadline, right, on the other money. So we're actually reporting it as a loss.
As a revenue loss.
Right, for
Okay.
revenue loss, so that,
All right,
so that
that's
we
fine.
can create more flexibility in terms of when we have to spend it down.
Could you do us a favor
Yes.
on the record? Before you make any changes, can you provide it in writing to each of us and the mayor of what you're doing so we could?
No, any expenditure of the money has to come back to commission for approval.
Yes.
This just uncouples it from ARPA and puts it into the MFE pool. Then it still has to come back to the commission.
The wording is very
It was,
complicated.
it's the other way.
it's-
It's, okay.
Larry.
I think Maggie was speaking.
Yes, the money was from.
I
the
mean, I
mon-
don't understand why he had to jump in. She's quite capable. Go ahead, Madam Director.
Okay, the money was put into revenue loss in the general fund, which freed up money in the general fund for us to do the Miami for Everyone program, which the commission had approved last year. So the dollars that you had that was still tied up into the other source of revenues, we're moving them into the specific districts allocations. And then every time we are allocating money, let's say you have a couple in this agenda item, in this agenda, we take it to commission for approval.
All right, just want to make sure that I get it as clarified as I can here, because this is confused in the way that it's been written.
Yes.
Mr. CFO, would you like to add anything? Are you sure?
Come on, Larry, come on.
Well, I mean, you just
Come
jumped
on.
up to say something.
His feelings are hurt. Come on.
He looks like he's good.
Okay.
All right, motion.
A motion for RE7
Second,
and RE10.
RE10 only.
No, because 7 and 10 has to go together.
So motion.
So
What's
He has
seven?
amended.
deallocate and reallocate. We couldn't do 7 before 10. So if we're going to do 10, we can do 7.
You're saying
at the same time.
RE7?
RE7.
Okay.
Yes.
RE7 and 10.
Yes.
And
I have
has
a-
amended.
As amended. A motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And again, so RE7 is as is, and
As-
RE10 is as amended.
Correct. That leaves us with RE12. And I'd like, if my colleagues allow, we have a discussion item on the OMNI CRA. If we can take up DI1, DI2 and RE12 at the same time, it just makes sense to put them together. And I will allow Commissioner Pardo to lead the discussion as he is the chair of the OMNI CRA.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman. First thing I'd like to do is acknowledge Asia Jones, the Executive Director of OMNI CRA, and all the professionals in OMNI CRA. I'm sure she's been reserving many comments, so I would appreciate it if she can address some of the issues and some of the questions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Asia Jones, Executive Director of the OMNI CRA. Good afternoon, Chairwoman, Commissioners. And I'd like to say, Commissioner Gabella, I am extremely honored and happy, and I applaud and we recommend and we encourage the community engagement that we saw here earlier today. That is what CRA is about. We are closer to the community than even the city and the county. So we commend it and we acknowledge it. There is a story of a little girl in 1998 who traveled here to Miami, and her first stop was Alapata. That little girl is me. My parents, we traveled to 20th Street in Miami, and we bought goods to go back to Jamaica to sell in the market. That is what we did. So, Commissioner, I applaud what you do for our community in Allapattah. However, the item that is in front of us here today is the extension of life of the OMNI CRA, RE12. And it is time for us to do the right thing. The item has been deferred for over 4 years. It has been approved at the county since 2020, and it was ratified by the CRA board in 2021, and it has been deferred for 4 different times. And commissioners, we have addressed all of the questions that were presented. We went back, we looked at every meeting, we addressed all of the questions since the 4 years, and even recently in June and July meetings, and we submitted a memo to your offices. Now, Justly, may you provide all the commissioners with the memo that we submitted last night. We addressed all of the concerns that we have in front of us. And we wanted to push the importance of the extension of the OMNI CRA. We have a focus on affordable housing. We want to make sure that we do the right thing for the community. We want to make sure that we complete the school board project that we have in front of us. We want to make sure that we support arts and cultural entertainment that is in our society. We want to make sure to push and do all of the great things that we say we were set out to do since 1987. And commissioners, we are asking for you to extend the OMNI CRA as is. Now, I'd like to also address the item that passed last year. There are multiple discrepancies with the item that was passed last year. Not just the boundaries. As you see and as we have shown, it overlaps with the Overtown CRA. And I believe, Chairwoman King, you have also stated that you would not support any overlap of the Overtown CRA. So for that reason alone, the item must be amended, rescinded, redone, recreated. And Commissioner Gabella, I see the boundaries that you drew here earlier today. And you do amend the boundaries. You do make it smaller, because there are no other CRA that's over 2,700 acres in the state. So with that being said, the item must be amended, and this item that is in front of us, which is separate, only on the extension of life, is okay, it's good to go, and we would recommend that the item is approved as is. The item that addresses the boundaries, there needs to be work done, the studies have to be prepared, and staff has to have the opportunity to make sure that it is done right this time around, with your support and with the support of all of the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Cabela, do you have a follow-up to her presentation?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Commissioner Pardo, and I'm saying you. Commissioner Pardo?
No, go ahead.
No, Commissioner Gabella, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so,
I called on Commissioner Pardo because he's the chair of the OMNI CRA. Okay.
Thank you.
let me know what you guys want to do.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cabela.
Okay.
We have
All
5
right.
minutes on the clock.
All right, so, look, not to reiterate the whole shenanigans, not shenanigans,
Thank
what
you.
we said. Okay, my problem is, and I understand where you're coming from, but here's the problem. Okay, this is the whole thing. I can't do that. And I can't do it because then everything is forgotten, the words are thrown in the air, and the wind takes the words, and we've got nothing. While you guys want to take care of the situation, and I understand, and let me be clear. Somebody said about, I don't know, a month ago, before the last month, oh, Gabella is trying to stop, the school board, and this and that. Well, Gabella, if you guys remember, was the one that actually put the center deal front and center to scrutinize it. It was me, Gabella, that did that. So I have no intentions of stopping the school board, and both things can be done. I still maintain, look, if, when this is done, I'm not saying give me the whole money or, I understand what the deal is. However, you guys can't act like, oh, do this and then we'll look at yours. No, because the two things should be combined. The two things should be combined. If there's until we make up what the boundary is going to be, and by the way, time frame, I understand. But listen, I've been asking for a sunshine meeting to get this thing in order for the longest time. I'm not going to, I'm not going to be rhetorical and say the same thing again that I've already said. But I've been asking for a meeting so we can talk just about this. So you know what? The time frame, that ain't on me. That's on you guys, whoever didn't want to have the meeting. Let me be clear. So I will be voting no. I will be deferring if you guys want to. Okay, if you want to talk about the boundaries today, I'm open to it, whatever you want. But the point is, it goes hand in hand. You cannot ask me, for me, to do this in good faith, when I know that after it's done and you guys get your way, bye-bye. Because you guys got your way. And then I'm left, we're left in District 1 with the problems that we have, in everything that I'm not going to go into detail again because why waste time? So that's where I stand on that respectfully. So, thank you.
Commissioner Pardo.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Vice Chair.
Place a motion to defer this item until the first meeting.
Madam Chair.
In October. Well, you said
You're going to
anybody
let him
else.
speak. I got to let him speak. You gave him the floor.
Now, I keep hearing there's such a rush for this. I don't see what the rush is. You got 6 years left in the life of the present CRA. So what is the rush? Well, I'm going to tell you what the rush is. You see, back when I came as a new commissioner, more or less, in 17, about a year and a half later or two, I was brought to a lunch. I thought it was, it must be important. It was on a holiday by the river at Garcias, by a developer, and the former superintendent of the school board. And it was the same old thing, for the project. Well, you heard today from the gentleman that came, that the new CEO, or I forgot what his title was, of the Frost Museum. He wanted this because they need all these new apartments in the urban core. So I asked him, you heard me, Commissioner Reyes, what do you consider the urban core? Is it also Overtown, Alapata, Little Havana? He said, of course it is. So I think it's clear the urban core is not just the OMNI. The urban core is a lot of other places in our city. And it could be Alapata. It could be Overtown. It could be other areas. Now, having said that, the urgency here is for developers because they want to make a lot more millions in the projects that they got cooking in that area now. And it's a handful of developers that are the ones that have the land, that have the projects. And the school board, of course, wants to do whatever they need to that's in their betterment, but we got to do the same thing for us. So I don't want to hear the issue anymore that we got to do this for the school board because as one of the key stakeholders from the Frost Museum said, the urban core is anywhere in the areas that we spoke, and it certainly is Alapata also. There is no rush to do this. The sky is not going to fall. The city is not going to dissolve. There's 6 more years left before the OMNI CRA life expands and is finished. So there's 6 more years. You have a job, all the others have a job for the 6 more years. No one's going to lose it in that time. The question is the future of that CRA. And I want to present something that I need to get more numbers on, and I'll provide it once I get it all. That's why I'm given time in bringing it back on the first meeting of October. This way we're not getting involved or in the way of our budget hearing that might be long, might be not, at our last meeting in September. But the bottom line is, there is no urgency here. The only urgency is for the developers, because the minute we start approving this, the next step is bonding for the next 17 years and whatever is left. So there's could be a big bunch of money coming up front, and that's going to be used in that area for those developers. Now, hey, some of these people I know I get along with fine. I have no problems with them making money. But I do have a problem in the way they want to go about it. And there needs to be a lot more transparency in what we're doing and how we're going forward with this OMNI CRA. Mr. Manager, who do you have that can read to us what the state says on the CRA, why it should be created and why it should exist or be expanded? I think it has to do with a little something called blight. Can you read what the state says, the official record?
Time.
Slum and blight.
Yeah.
It's for slum and blight.
I'd like to give Asia Jones an opportunity to discuss slum and blight and to answer.
That's fine, but I'm not done. I'm trying to get
okay.
an answer here.
Commissioner Pardo. Commissioner, I'm giving each commissioner 5 minutes. I stated that.
Yeah, well,
You have
I
asked
asked
a
a question,
question.
but I need to
He
get
asked
that
a
answer
question,
for
so we're waiting to get that answer. And at that time, Commissioner Reyes, would you like to speak? Do you have anything to say while they try to get the answer?
Yes, and as always, I'm going to be short and to the point. You see, I was an opponent of extending the life of any CRA, because CRAs should be established, developed, and sunset. But given the need that we have for affordable housing, and seeing, I used to work in the school system, and I used to park in all those lots that they are around there. And meeting with the, and I know this is not now. They've been behind doing this for a long time. That it is to build in a partnership with the city of Miami to build affordable housing and mainly geared towards teachers and people that work in the area. And that's when I requested that will come below 120 and that they have to go in the 80s and the 60s, because they are people that work there not only as teachers and administrative secretaries and all of that, that they need apartments also, they need housing. So given the fact that it is needed, given the fact that we spend all the time talking about affordable, real affordable housing for people that needs it, I'm in support of voting in favor of this, as I am in support of working out a solution, not a solution, and additional revenues for Alapata. And if the case comes to Little Havana also, I will be in favor of doing that. They cannot be tied one to the other, because you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? The county is not going to accept that. That's a fact. And they have already said it. And a CRA is only a CRA when you take TIF money. You take TIF money from the city and the county, and you use it to reinvest in the area. If the county said, you go ahead and we are not doing anything, it is not a CRA. It is just us. We don't need to do it, make a CRA. What we need to do is to put our minds together and say, okay, how much are we willing from this TIF, which is tax increment funds, how much are we willing to place in areas that they are of need for how long or whatever. You see? And that's it. Because sincerely, if we want to expand it to Little Havana, expand it to Alapata or Liberty City, they're not going to accept it. Then nobody's going to accept a 240 or 270, 2,700 square mile CRA. Does not exist. They are not going to give those funds away. You see? And if they don't do it, we can do it ourselves by legislation and getting our minds together and doing it. And that is my point, and I'm going to be voting in favor of this because we are not what we want, what the district commissioner wants. It won't be attainable, and that's it. You see, it's very
Well,
simple.
if it's not attainable.
Commissioner Gabella.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked that because this is a passionate item for
Got a
all of
question.
us.
Got a
Hold
question.
on a second. There was a question asked of staff to read the purpose of CRAs.
Got it.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
First, I'll read the definition of community redevelopment. Means undertakings, activities, or projects of a county, municipality, or community redevelopment agency in a community redevelopment area for the elimination and prevention of the development of or spread of slums and blight, or for the reduction or prevention of crime, or for the provision of affordable housing, whether for rent or for sale, to residents of low or moderate income, including the elderly, and may include slum clearance and redevelopment in a community redevelopment area or rehabilitation and revitalization of coastal resort and tourist areas that are deteriorating and economically distressed, or rehabilitation or conservation in a community redevelopment area or any combination or part thereof in accordance with a community redevelopment plan, and may include the preparation of such plans. If you want, I could also read the definition of slum and blight.
I don't think that is necessary.
Okay.
Well, we've seen it. Bottom line is that what you just describes Alapata 100%. Not 99, not 99.9, 100%. Now, if I could ask the administration to get some additional information, because I'm done beating around the bush. Let's go right to it. I keep hearing the county wouldn't do this, the county wouldn't do that. Mr. Manager, could I ask Mr. Springs to come up here for a second? I think he's the one that's got the answers. If not, get whoever else has it. Mr. Springs, in this expansion, what does the county want back from us?
When you say this expansion,
In the 17 years expansion.
they will be keeping
Extension of life.
Extension.
the extension of life, and the
Extension.
well, it is separate, but in the
23
extension,
years.
yeah, in the extension, they are asking back, which has always been in there, 35% off the top.
Both sides, theirs and ours.
Yeah, of the total. So that's
total.
predominantly there.
Okay. But our side has more money than theirs.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, at least beginning in that first year, it's about even. We're not getting anything from them.
Close. 35%. I think it's about a 60-40 split. So yeah, it's right there.
It's much
They're,
more
them
than-
40, us 60. So 35 is right there.
It's, I think it's more of that,
Right.
based upon what I'm looking at. And as it grows into those years, that the city expends even more, I think that falls more in their favor than ours.
Yes,
So-
I would agree with that.
At the end, if you add them all up together, the whole 17 years combined, it's basically an even split. That they didn't give us anything. So we don't need the county for the expansion for anything. I don't want to be hearing the county. The county's not giving us anything. It's our own money. And then on top of that, they're going to put a commission or two and who knows what other stuff was in this agreement for them to have a say-so in our money. Now, having said that, We have an ordinance in this city that was implemented back when I was here as mayor, and it was done only with Arthur Thiel at the time. Because even though a lot of people forget, we had the biggest true financial crisis that the city ever ran into back then, with a 50% deficit. 25% one year, 25% the next, but we found out about it when the fiscal year was being finished. So it was 50%. And we made this ordinance that is very clear, anti-deficiency ordinance, where you cannot spend monies that you don't find out how you're bringing it in, where's it coming from. All this talk that, Commissioner Gabella, we're going to take care of you, don't worry, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. That's great, but there's one little problem. Anywhere that you go in the city to pull money from, you have to do one or two things. You have to find the replacement for that money into the general fund, or you have to deduct from the general fund for that money that you gave away. That could be a third, maybe manna from heaven would fall and it'd be gold-plated.
You have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I allowed them to
So-
answer the question. If you could wrap it
Well,
up now.
to wrap it up, this all goes hand in hand. You cannot approve this going into the future without deciding what the future is, and it don't have to be through a CRA, because at the end of the day, what matters is where's the beef, where's the money to take to Alapata and to make the impacts immediately. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't care because, I'm an old guy. What more punches are they going to take at me? The local tabloid is going to do another editorial against me, another story. So what? But all the CRAs that we have in the city, and I'm not complaining about them because I've supported them, they're all in areas that are not Hispanic areas. Why can't we have, if not a CRA, which is going to be very difficult to accomplish, and you all know that, why can't we have something that would be similar to it in a Hispanic area? But you can't do it without looking at the funds that are coming out from this OMNI CRA. This OMNI CRA, 6 more years than it has in 30 years, there's nothing for it to do. It's only going to be there then to make money for rich guys to become richer. And that's the bottom line.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, I believe it's Commissioner Pardo's turn.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a couple of quick things. First, City Attorney, City Attorney, could you read the definition of slum and blight?
Surely.
Well, okay.
Hold on.
What I can,
Wait, it's Commissioner Pardo's
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
Let him speak. I believe he asked a question of the City Attorney.
So the definition of a slum area means an area having physical or economic conditions conducive to disease, infant mortality, juvenile delinquency, poverty, or crimes because there is a predominance of buildings or improvements, whether residential or non-residential, which are impaired by reasons of dilapidation, deterioration, age, or obsolescence, and exhibiting one or more of the following factors: inadequate provision for ventilation, lights, air sanitation, or open spaces, high density of population compared to the population density of adjacent areas within the county or municipality, and overcrowding, as indicated by government-maintained statistics or other studies and the requirements of the Florida Building Code, or the existence of conditions that endanger life or property by fire or other causes. Blighted area means an area in which there are a substantial number of deteriorated or deteriorating structures in which conditions, as indicated by government-maintained statistics or other studies, endanger life or property or are leading to economic distress, and in which 2 or more of the following factors are present. A, predominance of defective or inadequate street layout, parking facilities, roadways, bridges, or public transportation facilities. B, aggregate assessed values of real property in the area for ad valorem tax purposes have failed to show any appreciable increase over the 5 years prior to the finding of such conditions. C, faulty lot layout in relation to size, adequacy, accessibility, or usefulness. D, unsanitary or unsafe conditions. E, deterioration of site or other improvements. F, inadequate or outdated building density patterns. G, falling lease rates per square foot of office, commercial, or industrial space compared to the remainder of the county or municipality. H, tax or special assessment, delinquency exceeding the fair value of the land. I, residential and commercial vacancy rates higher in the area than in the remainder of the county or municipality. J, incidence of crime in the area higher than in the remainder of the county or municipality. K, it goes to O. K, fire and emergency medical service calls to the area proportionally higher than in the remainder of the county or municipality. L, a greater number of violations of the Florida Building Code in the area than the number of violations recorded in the remainder of the county or municipality. M, diversity of ownership or defective or unusual conditions of title which prevent the free alienability of land within the deteriorated or hazardous areas. N, governmentally owned property with adverse environmental conditions caused by a public or private entity. O, a substantial number of percentage of properties damaged by sinkhole activity which have not been adequately repaired or stabilized.
You can stop. The bigger point here is that it's very broad, and a lot of it has to deal with infrastructure, condition of roads, flooding, etc., and need, and affordable housing. At the last commission meeting or the budget meeting, it was said that we are raising the flag of Overtown, like we're somehow using that as some method. No, we are raising the flag for Overtown. Because for 24 years, ever since this OMNI CRA existed, we've only invested 6% in our share of Overtown, which is 40%. That's not talking about Edgewater. That's not talking about all the infrastructure, all the problems we have within the OMNI CRA district. Our capacity isn't even enough to deal with any of that, right? So there's plenty of need, is the point I'm trying to make. And I reject the politics of division. I reject the politics of fear or of lack of trust in each other. It's very clear that all of us are committed to an Allapattah investment. Commissioner Reyes introduced a TIF structure, very concrete, makes sense. It would handle it immediately. It's right here in front of us. That doesn't have to be it. We could look at many other structures, but our point is that takes time. It's already lost $24 million in capacity. I vehemently disagree with Commissioner Carollo about just defer, time doesn't matter, we can just keep going like this, because it keeps eating into the capacity that we have. Like I said, we have a check on our desk, let's put it in the bank. As we all know, the politics can change around this topic. We may not even have this opportunity without us even knowing. It is reckless and irresponsible not to go ahead and extend this today. I wanted to see it to give you just a quick opportunity if you had anything else to add.
Commissioners, Commissioner Carrillo, you asked what is the urgency? Housing affordability in the city. We talk about the struggling businesses that we have in the CRA. We also talk about the struggling office spaces, the empty office spaces, the empty shop fronts, the blight that is in the area, the stormwater mitigation projects that have not been done since 1987. And all of the efforts that we're doing now, we're saying, you know what? We are also putting Overtown and the needs of our residents at the forefront of every item that we bring to the commission. Our projects include the Dorsey Park, right? Our project includes housing affordability in the area. We are looking to do assemblages, not just to build just because we want to build, but to address the concerns and the issues that we're facing here in Miami. And Commissioner Gabella, we want to do the same for your neighborhood too. And that is why we're saying 24 years of what we have left in Omni is not enough. 40 years is what Allapattah deserves. Allapattah deserves the attention and the needs that you have advocated for today. And we're asking for you to allow us as staff to work with the city and the county to help you to push within the time frame and to make sure that we can do this. But guess what? We can do this. We can do Omni and we can do Alapata. And we would love to push on two parallel fronts to push the items forward. And I believe that we have the will of the city and the residents. They came here today. They talked passionately. They were so passionate, and we love it. We love the community engagement. And we are willing to help and to even help to kickstart any redevelopment efforts. Right? One of the other things that we're looking to do is to bring the Florida Redevelopment Association to make sure that they can provide all of our local communities with the tools that are needed to succeed. And commissioners, we are here, we're committed, and
Thank you, Director.
let's go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold
Hold
a
on.
rebuttal time for
Hold-
all that she addressed?
No. May I speak?
Absolutely, but,
Okay, my turn.
and I feel like I'm in a recent debate that I saw, but anyway.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for, thank you for the comic relief.
I'm glad you got a good laugh.
Here's my issue. It's difficult for me to ignore the advocacy that we saw here today. Everyone is in agreement that Alapata is suffering. We received this 7-page memo last night. I didn't get a chance to read it. I have asked staff since July to come forward with a feasibility study to tell us whether it's feasible for the expansion into Alapata, is feasible, it can be done. Silence. I said it at the budget hearing. Nothing. We haven't got a report yet. Then Commissioner Gabella presents this map today, and for everyone that I've spoken to about it, says this is a good, viable option. Then Commissioner Reyes presents this 10 minutes ago. I haven't had a chance to read it. Now, I can tell you, to cut through the rhetoric, if you want that extension of time, you would have worked on this. You would have worked on this. You would have given him his opportunity to speak to all of us, and you didn't. And now at the last minute, and let me make it clear, I don't need to hear from you again, Executive Director. Let me make it clear. Time wounds all deals, and I believe that. Time wounds all deals, but we cannot keep a deaf ear to what is happening. And if you wanted to, if staff wanted to, you would have gotten this from him before we got it today. You would have sent this to me before last night. And I would have had a chance to look at it, read through it, have comments for it. I support the extension of life of the OMNI CRA. I've said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it again. I support the extension of life for the OMNI CRA. However, I know, because I've spoken to several members of Miami-Dade County, and there is a viable path for both the expansion and the extension of life. I cannot, in good conscience, just ignore what my colleague has been asking for. And I do not believe that another 2 weeks is going to be detrimental. I do not, because of stuff like sending a 7-page memo last night, not making ourselves available to hear about this plan. We can't all say, we agree, Alapata is suffering, but that's not fair. There's a motion on the floor for deferral. Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, I do have to say one thing, please.
Commissioner Pardo,
Please,
Commissioner Pardo,
no, this is
I'm
important.
going to acknowledge you. Now, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It depends on whose ox is being gored, when you can overtalk me, or when you can speak without being recognized. I'm going to recognize you. Just give me an opportunity.
I apologize.
Yes, I appreciate it is a passionate subject. I appreciate it is a passionate subject. There were people here from Alapata who were waiting outside to speak on this item. We have to, as a body, and everyone here agrees that Alapata is suffering. Everyone. But who's going to do something about it if we don't collectively do something about it? Commissioner Pardo, please.
I just wanted to say, and I'm sure that this is what the executive director wanted to say, she has been exhausted creating all of these projections and all of these numbers. Her and her staff identified the overlap. On multiple occasions, they have put memos out and before, and I can't speak to when emails went out or when they didn't, but I know for a fact they have been trying to get this information out for a long time. They even set up a specific meeting for Commissioner Gabella and his staff to come in and explain the numbers one by one and to do a tour of the area so he could see for himself what's in Overtown and he could see for himself. I know he had work commitments. I get it. But the point is, they have done everything possible. The staff that represented there simply stated that they would not have anything of it, that this was some kind of controversy or a trap, and they got up and left. And so it's been very difficult to communicate, even all the work that has been done. And it's important, and I think part of that is trust and fear. And we just, as a body, have got to stop or at least lessen those emotions and understand that we're all trying to help each other. We're not divided. We're trying to help.
Commissioner Gabella.
Okay, number one, I've been asking for a sunshine meeting, and that is on the record a month ago. We have the emails, we have the proof. That's number one. Not once have you guys agreed to have a sunshine meeting regarding the subject. Number two, when my crew went out there, you guys gave notice 8 o'clock the night before the morning to show up at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, so you would expect if you're at this for a long time, give me 2 days or 3 days, but you said it at 8:30 is when you guys sent the memo like what you did with this, like what she's talking about, what you did with this. Don't tell me that my office has not been cooperative with you guys, because you guys have been in my office as many times as you like. We spoke about this, okay, on many occasions, okay? And yes, my staff went out there because what they tell me was that the whole tour was so you guys would show them where the overlap was and make your legal case against the map. That's what I've been told. Now, as for me, the memo and the invitation to take a tour with you, which I would have gladly done, came at 8:30 the evening before that morning. Do you think that's for, you're telling me you guys want to work hard? Well, give me some notification a week before, and don't tell me I haven't been asking for a sunshine meeting for over a month now, okay, because we're on record, and if you want to, Frank, go produce those records, and we'll give them to you so you have it. Don't tell us that we haven't been on top of this. I've been very on top of this. But what you guys want to do is you guys want to go ahead and ram this through, and then you get your way, and we go bye-bye. That's what you guys want to do. Okay, nobody's dividing here. I've been asking for 1 month now. I've been asking for a sunshine meeting.
And
Disrespectful is what it is.
Thank you. And he has, and I can attest to that. I was available, but I was told that the chair of the OMNI CRA was unavailable, and I didn't think it fair to have a meeting about the OMNI CRA without the chair present. So I did not make myself available, but he has. Commissioner Pardo.
I just want to say no one was bagging or setting anything up. That had been a predetermined date and time, and yes, the memo may have come the night before, but the time and the date had been agreed to. That's all I want to say.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second, and I'm going to vote in favor of the deferral because I did not get this information timely. Then I haven't had a chance to review Commissioner Manolo's, and then this map. I want to give all parties, and I've said this before, I want to give all parties an opportunity to find a path forward. If there is a path forward, I still have yet to receive a report from staff on what I requested. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is for the next meeting, correct? Or
It's
next?
for October, the first meeting in
No,
October.
why not the second one in September?
Because that's the budget, and
Oh,
we're going
okay.
to have budget hearing and all of that. But I expect,
And I'll vote no, obviously, on this, but
obviously,
And Commissioner Reyes, were you voting yes or no on the deferral?
I voted no on the deferral because
Understood.
I know that we can work this out, and I know that
we should start working it out.
Yes.
And that is the message that I'm trying to send now.
That's right.
Work it out. I believe the city attorney has a statement to read for the record.
And just for the record, the motion passes
The
3-2.
motion passes 3-2.
Right, they're not.
I agree, but let's work together. Let's get it done.
We've been trying.
There's some urgency now.
The shade meeting notice?
The shade meeting notice.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairwoman and members of the Commission, pursuant to the provisions of Section 286.011, parentheses 8 Florida statutes, I'm requesting that at the City Commission meeting of September 26, 2024, an attorney-client session closed to the public be held for the purposes of discussing the pending litigation in the matters of 1. The Mad Room LLC, DBA Ball and Chain, Altos Mexicano LLC, DBA Taquerias El Mexicano, Little Havana Arts Building LLC, and La Gran Fiesta LLC versus City of Miami, case number 21 CV 23485 RKA, pending in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida. Number 2, Tower Hotel LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, Piedra Villas LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, Beatstick LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, El Shopping LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, and Yo Amo Calle Siete LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company versus City of Miami, case number 2022-008069CA44, pending in the Circuit Court of the 11th Judicial Circuit in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida. And 3, Tower Hotel LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, Piedras Villas LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, Beatstick LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, El Shopping LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company, and Yo Amo Calle Siete LLC, a Florida Limited Liability Company versus City of Miami, case number 3D23-285, pending in the District Court of Appeals of the State of Florida, 3rd District, to which the city is presently a party. The subject of the meeting will be confined to settlement negotiations or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. This private meeting will begin at approximately 10 a.m. or soon thereafter as the Commissioner's schedules permit and conclude approximately 1 hour later. The session will be attended by the members of the City Commission, which include Chairwoman Christine King, Vice Chairman Joe Carollo, Commissioners Miguel Angel Gabella, Damian Pardo, and Manolo Reyes, the City Manager Arthur Noriega V, the City Attorney George K. Weissong III, Chief Deputy City Attorney John A. Greco, Deputy City Attorney Kevin R. Jones, Assistant City Attorneys Eric Eves and Marguerite Snyder, and City of Miami's outside counsel Raquel A. Rodriguez Esquire and Angel A. Cortinez Esquire. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that this session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the litigation. At the conclusion of the attorney-client session, the regular commission meeting will be reopened, and the person chairing the commission meeting will announce the termination of the attorney-client session. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask my colleagues if they would like to pull for discussion any of the SR items still on the agenda. That would be SR1, SR2, SR4, and SR6.
4.
Commissioner Gabello would like to pull 4 for discussion.
Madam Chair, a substitution of SR2 was distributed via the agenda office. The title's a little bit different. I would like, if it's okay, to read the title for the substituted SR2.
Please.
Thank you. An ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 10, Section 817 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Code Enforcement, Administrative Costs, Fines, Liens, to amend the section in order to streamline the mitigation process and provide a clarifying chart for those who seek mitigation containing a severability clause providing for an immediate effective date. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We could pull SR3.
SR3 has been deferred until 9/27 meeting.
Well, can I?
It's been deferred.
All right, I messed out when I thought it. It's a lot of stuff we got in that meeting. I think it'd be best if we could try to bring it to the meeting of the 10th.
We could defer it on the 27th again.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any others? Any other items of the second reading items anyone would like to pull for discussion? Seeing none, may I have a motion for SR1, SR2, SR6?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a...
Sorry, we have one other thing. On SR2, due to the significant change to the legislation, it's going to revert. This will be the first reading, so it's reverting back to first reading with this new title and new legislation. That's SR2.
SR2 will be FR what?
That's okay. You can just call it the first reading.
Just called first reading. Okay. So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Yes. So it's SR1, FR, and SR6. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. City Clerk, do you have any board appointments?
My apologies. Were we going back to SR4?
SR4, ma'am. It was pulled by.
Oh, it was pulled for
Commissioner
discussion. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That's right. I didn't circle it. Sorry.
No problem.
Who would like to start the discussion on SR4? Who pulled it?
I pulled it.
Commissioner Gabella?
All right, so I want to know how, what, who, when. In other words, I want to know how the mechanics of this thing is going to work. For example, who will say to the Inspector General, investigate this? Who will not? How, I'm just curious. I'm not knocking anything down. I just want to know the rules of the game so we know what we're doing here.
According to what the Inspector General works, and he has the authority to start investigations if he considers that it should be done. Also, if there is a complaint from any citizen, that he has the authority to do it. For example, contracts that they are questionable, he will have the authority to do it. It is totally independent. That's what it is. It is totally independent. Doesn't have to deal with the administration or us. It is in order to bring transparency and to do away with that cloud of corruption that have been hanging on the city. This individual, whoever is chosen, which, by the way, is not going to be picked by us, it's going to be picked by a panel, which is the state attorney, the
U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida,
that's right.
the state attorney, hold on, let me get you those.
That's right. It is the Public Defender's Office.
Yes.
And also, I think it is the sheriff, somebody, or the appointee, they will appoint somebody for that. And that's the way, Mr. Gabel, that is going to work. And it's about, it is past.
So if somebody, George, if somebody would call and say they would make an anonymous complaint, right, or whatever, would that be valid, or would the person have to identify themselves?
Well, that would be like Commissioner Reyes is saying, the power to investigate will be with the independent Inspector General. So they would take that information and choose to decide to investigate or not. So they could accept anonymous complaints, but they would have to, it'll be their policy as to how they handle anonymous complaints.
Let me go right to the point, Chair. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You're recognized, Vice
Thank
Chair.
you. Let me go to the point. We don't want any Inspector General not to be able to investigate anything that he feels he should. But what Commissioner Gabela brought up, we put the orders and how to go about it. You cannot have a situation where anybody anonymous can lodge a complaint hiding. Here comes the Miami Herald tabloid editorial. You get the paid bloggers jumping in, or maybe even before the tabloid. And then you get Radio Havana in the morning with those fine, upstanding, virtuous individuals, like the one that used to get a paycheck when he worked at a certain TV station, and he had to use somebody else's Social Security number because he wasn't allowed to work yet here. And that could go on. So the bottom line is that we have to establish that if anybody from the public wants to file a complaint, they need to do it under oath with the allegations they want to make.
I have nothing against that. I have nothing. I would like that to exclude any anonymous. Okay.
Commissioner Reyes.
I would like to exclude any anonymous.
I believe that is
complaints.
the way it's set up in the Miami-Dade County.
That's
It
right.
cannot be an
It is-
anonymous complaint.
it is-
has
it is-
to be
this is a copy
sworn.
of
It has to be
Miami-Dade
a
County.
sworn-
You see.
It has to be a sworn
That's right.
complaint.
I agree with that because and I'm sorry I didn't thought about that before, because that gives a place to anybody, just for the heck of it, and wasting the time, but that doesn't preclude the independency of,
Exactly.
doesn't do anything on the independency of, and I accept that, Mr. City Attorney, you take note, please.
Yes, sir, we'll incorporate no
Okay,
anonymous
that's it,
complaints.
and I move it now,
Okay, with that amendment.
with that amendment, okay?
I have a motion.
Nothing anonymous from anybody.
Second.
It has to be a sworn complaint.
Yeah, and let me
It
just...
cannot be an anonymous complaint. It has to be a sworn complaint.
Let me just read how it reads now. The Inspector General shall have the power to review and investigate any citizen's sworn complaints on a form
Absolutely.
acceptable to the Inspector General regarding city programs, agencies, contracts, transactions, officials, or employees. If you want me to add, they shall not accept any anonymous complaints, we can add
I
that.
would
sir.
go further.
Okay.
Citizens, employees, elected officials.
All.
Anybody.
It should just
Everybody.
be all complaints must be sworn.
Okay,
Exactly.
Cannot be anonymous. All complaints.
okay. We'll make that change.
So whoever would have a right to confront their accuser.
And the independency is that they don't have to ask us to do it.
The other area of concern is,
I want to ask you.
I don't want to be in a situation where bloggers are being used as proxies. The tabloid is being used as a proxy, a radio program is being used as proxy. And then we're going to have the Inspector General, based on any kind of rumor, allegation, is going to be running to do investigations.
That is, I expect that the Inspector General, whoever it is, will be professional enough not to pay attention to those things and to have a complaint, a valid complaint, or that there is a contract that is questionable, or whatever it is, that they should be make the right decision. You see, you don't want to tie the hands. Because how about it if somebody makes a complaint and then the radio station gets it and
They've made the complaint.
what's the made a complaint?
Sworn complaint.
But then you cannot take the independency of them, that just like in the county, of them going into an investigation because it doesn't look good or because it is.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's what you're saying, sir.
No. What
You say-
I'm
but
talking about is,
Sir,
Okay.
Gentlemen, it seems as if there is some
Oh, God.
unreadiness with the language, and I'd like to defer this so that you can go over the details of this again with all of us. Mr. City Attorney, do I have a motion to defer?
motion to
Motion
defer.
to, second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
When are you deferring it to?
Against?
October
October-
10, October 1.
Against? No.
October 10th.
I'm voting against deferring this because this was clear. 80% of the people voted for it, and they read really that. It was clear to them.
Yes, I
It
agree
was
with
clear
you.
to them,
I
you
agree
see.
with you, Commissioner Reyes,
And-
but the two of you are going back and forth.
No, I agree
And-
with
and
you.
this-
Listen, this is an on-call, unnecessary type of discussion. It is. I'm too old to be following these games.
Right,
You
but
see,
Commissioner Reyes, let me say that
you have
making
you
it
have,
clear that it's not
ma'am, there is an
anonymous
extension.
complaint.
Let's do it next time. Period. Next item.
now let me be very clear what I'm talking about, okay? I don't know what the county has. You brought it out. They had one. I'd like to see what the county has so we can look at it. Because what this cannot become is that individuals that are reckless, in some cases, are being paid to lie and defame, can go on and on and on in making lies, false allegations, all kinds of stuff, so that they could influence, like has been happening here. We've had different cases before courts lately. One of the cases that we recently had before the court was the one that was filed on this gym equipment. What happened the day or so before we went to court? The tabloid Miami Herald came out with an editorial against it, vote against it.
You know, I mean, we were
And
talking
they're
about
putting
the-
me like I'm in the ballot.
Gentlemen, do not talk over each other. And there's a motion on the floor to defer, and I only asked for the deferral because of the back and forth. And Commissioner Gabella had some questions.
I still have some questions.
And-
But look, I'm for it, but I got some questions.
So, and
just
I'm
wanna be
for it as
educated.
well.
Listen,
I'm
it
for it
was
as well, but I just
We're
want
all
to make
for
sure
it. We are all
we are all on the same page, because with having to state and he has to change so that they're not anonymous complaints, I believe that we need to take a look at it again. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All against?
No.
Okay.
The motion passes 3-2 with Commissioner Reyes, Commissioner Pardo voting no, and this is continued to October 10th.
October 10th.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, would you read into the record the title for FR2?
FR2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 38, Article 3 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended City Code titled Parks and Recreation, Bayfront Park Management Trust, by amending Section 38-103 titled Governing Body, to establish and appoint the City Commission as ex officio members and provide for 2 appointments from the city's District 2 Commissioner, containing a severability clause and providing for an immediate effective date.
If I may start, I'd like to take this up in January when we decide who our new chairs are and all of that. I don't want to do that today.
Madam Chair.
And-
I agree.
Hold on. May I finish?
I agree.
May I finish? And I would like to defer this until January. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Now we can have till January when we take up all of our boards and
January
chair-
9th, 2025.
January 9, 2025. Now we're open up for discussion. I believe Commissioner Pardo would like to be recognized. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'm the sponsor of the item, so I would have appreciated the ability to go first before everyone defers it till January, so that I could explain why we're even here. But that said, let me go ahead and go through the material. First, I want to make very clear, this isn't a conflict between Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Pardo. This is a conflict between Commissioner Carollo and the residents of District 2. I am the District 2 Commissioner, and I don't have any input whatsoever, and the residents keep coming to our office and coming to me. But the District 3 Commissioner is sitting in their park and not willing to listen. What I'd like to say is, this is the first time that downtown residents are actually being heard. Because as their representative, I am giving their voice to us as a body. The residents want more participation, they want more transparency, and they want more accountability. The residents don't trust Commissioner Carollo. Why? They say he makes up facts. I lived it with the way my campaign was funding and the facts that were coming out about that which were inaccurate. They say he divides communities. They point to Coconut Grove, where he thought it was fine to divide it. Well, Coconut Grove didn't think it was fine. There was a lawsuit. They were reunited. They point to Little Havana, where half the people in Little Havana believe that there are real estate owners that are funded by Venezuelan communists, and the other half don't.
That's a lie.
There are 2 competing festivals. There are 2 competing weekly festivals. It led to a lawsuit with a judgment of $65 million, and it leads to our city paying $10 million plus because of that discrepancy, that division. Downtown is saying, look, the same thing is happening to us. We're being divided. The gym equipment, the entire thing about the gym equipment and the ballot, that should never have gotten to where it went. Never. But there was nobody there that was able to listen and bring people together. It was about, no, you're wrong, you're right, you're wrong. They're tired of it. They're exhausted by it. No other commissioner, none of us chairing any of our other areas have these issues. We got another lawsuit downtown. Even the video that was played, there was a promotional video for kind of his perspective on the gym equipment. It showed up on our agenda as special appearance, real estate assets. I mean, Commissioner Gabella was like, well, what is this? I was like, well, what is this? You know, nothing was clear. And this is what the residents point to and say, we're not represented and we can't even give the facts. I met with staff on these projects, and just to kind of give you an idea, staff said that there had been no engagement on these projects. The projects are fountain reconstruction, rock garden, promenade, flower clock, play area, new fountain. I mean, all these things deserve input from the community. They are not being included in the list. We're talking about a list of projects that runs up to $20 million. Bayfront Park Trust has had a reserve of $20 million pretty much, 15 to 20, rolling all these years, and now it's all getting used up. And this is why they're saying it's urgent we take it up now and not in January. I want to also stress, if you look at the financials, and when I sat with Bayfront Park Trust staff, there are definite red flags. You see some categories, like interest income and dividends, go from 0 to 1 million plus. When I addressed this with staff, they said, well, these are reclassifications. You know, we're cleaning things up. But that's not good enough. We shouldn't have these major shifts. The existing majority on that board is tied to Croyo. No one, not even the representative that I elected there, can get a word in edgewise, can get anything done. There are very little controls. They don't follow the same rules that our CRAs do. They don't come here before us and share their agenda, what they're doing, what their activities are. That's completely away from us. The residents are asking us to please step in. To please step in, given all the red flags. By becoming the board, knowing everything we know, and considering Coroyo's track record, it would be a liability to this city not to restructure the Bayfront board. Adding more transparency, more accountability, and finally a voice for downtown residents should be done now. By becoming that board, we add those guardrails. We represent the regional aspect, as he's always claiming. By the way, they feel that every time he has regional, it's a slap on them, like they don't exist. They don't have a neighborhood park, even though they go there every day and they pay more taxes than many other people. So we add that element back. We limit any further controversy. We limit lawsuits. We limit liability, but most importantly, we begin to bring people together and we don't divide them. That's what this is about, and that's the importance of doing it now.
At this time, I'm asking IT, because he brought this up about getting the facts, and you're talking about the gym equipment. So I have a couple of videos that I want to play, and I would like to address my colleagues about the gym equipment, which is now PZ 1 and 2, since he brought it up. So let's not wait till PZ 1 and 2.
Shall the city of Miami keep already installed outdoor gym equipment like in...
Hold on a second.
Yeah, we have, so we're not opening PZ 1 and 2. This is
No,
just
we're
discussion on
not.
FR2.
We're not. This
Okay,
is
I just
still
wanted to
within the
clarify that.
discussion, but it came up. So I was going to play this during PZ 1 and 2, but while it came up, I'm going to play this, and I have some things to say. Go ahead.
Shall the city of Miami keep already installed outdoor gym equipment like in many of our parks at the city park located at 1075 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida, 33132, also known as Maurice A. Ferre Park?
I had no way of changing plans or addressing the issue. At no time was this item identified as a binding referendum, nor were the consequences of the language discussed. It is incomprehensible that something as serious as a ballot referendum was treated in this manner, and it points to serious dysfunction and a corrupted process for doing the right thing. It is important to note that a long-standing tradition was broken when a district-specific item was moved without the impacted district commissioner on the dais. I wish Chairwoman King would have defended this tradition, a tradition often used to defer Commissioner Carollo's items in his absence.
Shall the city
regional parks.
Yes, it's a regional park. That's the only difference that I have between this park and other parks.
Yeah.
This is a regional park because everybody enjoys it and everybody goes there, and different amenities that the whole city enjoys it.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
That's the importance of this park.
Yeah, that's the difference. This is why this would not be something that would come up in any park that would happen. And you always been one that always have felt let the people decide. Well, this is a regional park for everyone. Not everyone has a gym in their building or is able to afford to have one in their home. And even those that have gyms in their buildings, they also like to go out and exercise in the open air. So this is this is the people's park for everyone to enjoy. Let them decide.
Yes,
Let them decide.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
As amended,
As
3-1.
amended. Motion carries 3-1.
Regional parks.
Yes, it's a regional park. That's the only difference that I have between this park and other parks.
Yeah.
This is a regional park because everybody enjoys it and everybody goes there, and different amenities that the whole city enjoys it.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
That's the importance of this park.
Yeah, that's the difference. This is why this would not be something that would come up in any park that would happen. And you always been one that.
So everyone that knows me knows that I am not on social media. It was sent to me, a post that Commissioner Pardo, you made, and somehow this vote was my fault because we acted on an item that is in your district. It has been the position of this body, not just this body, but commissions prior to us, that Bayfront Park is a regional park. It is a regional park. Okay, barring that, the next commission meeting, you could have come back and asked for reconsideration. Is that correct, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, Madam Chair.
You could have asked for reconsideration and we could have taken it up. I did not appreciate being called out and blamed as the chair of this body for moving that item when you failed to mention that Commissioner Reyes said this is a regional park. I have said it is a regional park. It's not something that I have kept to myself. I believe Bayfront Park is a regional park. But beyond that, if you felt that what this commission did in your absence, and you failed to say that I have deferred items for Commissioner Carollo, for Commissioner Reyes when he isn't here, I act on behalf of this entire commission. I am the chair of the City of Miami Commission, not any other person's. I vote in favor of what I believe is right for my district and the City of Miami in totality. So to go on social media and say the chairwoman, the chairwoman, the chairwoman, when you could have and chose not to request a rehearing, a reconsideration of the item, is not fair to me. And I couldn't understand why you made the post, because no one said that you were derelict in duties. I would never have said that. However, I found out later what prompted that. But if you are going to tell a story, tell the whole story, because don't tell lies about me, and I will not tell the truth about whatever is happening here. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me again, because I can't defend myself on social media. And I want to point out that we live in a society where political violence is real. And you had people making awful comments, just like the man that came up here. You could disagree with what we do. The public can disagree with actions that you take, but this country that we live in now, political violence is a thing. Someone tried to kill former President Trump because they don't agree with whatever. And I'm sure, Commissioner Pardo, you did not intend your diatribe to cause me harm. But that's exactly what that could have done. And I said on the record, I didn't understand why we were even having a discussion about exercise equipment in the park. I have people calling me from other states asking, what are you guys arguing about? Exercise equipment in the park. I made it clear what my position was, and I defer to you for your district. Bayfront Park is not a neighborhood park. It is a regional park. It is a regional park, and it has been recognized as such through commissions before us. And I want to set the record straight that you had an opportunity to request reconsideration and you chose not to. That, sir, is not my fault.
Madam Chair, first of all, I want to talk about the gym equipment. It's not about the gym equipment. It is about the way residents are being treated, ignored, constantly. Anyone should have been able to solve the gym equipment issue. People are not going to pay $20 to go park and then use free gym equipment. The downtown residents, the people who use it most, have been most vocal. And the reason I post on social media is to explain when people are looking at me saying, well, what happened? Why weren't you there? What was it that created all of this? That's why I had to post it. And what I want to say is that was a pocket item introduced same day. It could have gone to the next meeting. The previous meeting, you had made clear to me, don't worry, anything that happens in your district, we've got your back. You let me know what you want to defer, and I'll handle it. Right?
And I did that.
Let me finish.
Yes, I'm making your argument for you. I said that if you didn't agree with it, you could have simply asked for reconsideration. And Commissioner Pardo, let's not ignore the fact that 80% of the city of Miami and every precinct in your district voted in favor of keeping the gym equipment in the park. Every single district.
They voted?
Every precinct
Let me know
in
when
your
I can
district.
speak.
You can speak now. Because, and I'm not in favor of disenfranchising any of the voters that voted to keep the exercise equipment in the park. 80%. And the only person that I have seen that received 80% of the vote was Commissioner Reyes. Since I've been on this dais, I am not going to disenfranchise 80% of our voters because there is, and be clear, it is a fight between whoever and this commissioner, because I received solicitations. A vote for gym equipment is a vote for Joe Carollo. I'm not getting in the middle of the battle between anyone and Joe Carollo. I am not his advocate. He can advocate for himself. I am advocating for myself. There was an opinion in the Miami Herald. There was enough information that went out to the community. And even if you can say in the other communities, in your community, because you are a strong advocate for your community, at least one precinct in your community should have voted against if they're so not in favor of that gym equipment. Everyone voted in favor. 80% of our electorate voted in favor of keeping the gym equipment in the park, and that includes the downtown residents.
May I speak?
Please.
Uninterrupted, please.
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you. 80%. 80% voted on an entirely misleading ballot referendum. Entirely. That's why we have another lawsuit. Again, because of exactly that. That ballot referendum was basically asking kids if they like ice cream. It didn't talk about the residents. It didn't talk about any of the problems. It didn't talk about the process that led to any of that, which, by the way, was way before I came into office. You're asking why didn't I ask for a reconsideration? Because I had no idea it was a binding referendum. Otherwise, I would have. But again, that's why it should have been discussed. That's why it shouldn't have been a pocket item. That's why it shouldn't have been passed through that way. We had no opportunity to have this conversation, and that's wrong. And that's why this, in fact, look at everything that happened because of that pocket item. It got on the ballot, then there were controversy, campaign, now there's a lawsuit, and all why? Because one person couldn't work it out with people.
I think you were just making my point, because if you weren't sure what that item meant, we should have discussed it again at the meeting that you were present. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that there was redress for you. And I'm also,
I don't believe there was.
You could have brought it up at the next commission meeting. And I'm also saying that at least in your district, where you advocate, where you educate, you can say that the ballot question was misleading, and that would account for the rest of the city of Miami, District 1, District 3, District 4, District 5, but you cannot account for District 2 and the ballot question being misleading, because you are a fantastic commissioner and you get that information out to your community. I believe Commissioner Gabella wants to be heard, and all I wanted to do was make it clear that you cannot lay the blame of that on me as the chairwoman. That's all I'm saying. I want to clear the record, make the record clear. You conveniently left Commissioner Reyes out of your diatribe. He also said it's a regional park. It wasn't just me. And again, that kind of rhetoric can cause harm, because we live in a society where political violence is a thing, and I do not think that you intend to cause harm to me because you're saying Chairwoman King, Chairwoman King, Chairwoman King in your address about this issue. Commissioner Gabella.
My 2 cents worth, here that I'm listening to the situation, and I'm trying to, let me see if I can do this without getting myself in trouble. Okay. Number one, when that issue came up and the referendum was called for by Mr. Carollo, you were not here, but I voted against it. But it got on the referendum. And now that it got on the referendum, I agree. The people spoke. It might have been bad wording in the language, but at the end of the day, 80% of the people voted. And I don't think we should be going against it. Number two, you guys, not me. I haven't said whether it's a regional park, a local park. You know what I mean? Now that's you guys. That's on you guys now. I'm going to take your interpretation of what it is, okay, and say this. Gee whiz, back in January, February, if it was a regional park and people were not happy with Commissioner Carollo, we could have appointed another chairman, but it wasn't done. And I think the reason it wasn't done is because through the grapevine, I heard that you also wanted to be commissioner of the Bayfront Trust. Okay, that's what I heard. Now, I'm curious here, and I spoke about this about 2 months ago. Manolo called for forensic audit. We were going to waste $200,000. We weren't going to get the results till next year. No, but okay. And then I said to Larry, "What the hell are we doing this for? Why are we going to waste this money? And why are we doing this whole thing?" When listen, if it was bad enough, okay. You guys could have elected another chairman, okay? Yet that hasn't been done, even today. The gentleman already said, Carollo, that he's stepping down. How many months have we got? We're in September, October, November, December. We're in 3 months now, okay? This apparently, by what I've been told, has been going on for years and years. I don't know, okay? I don't know, okay? But my point is very hypocritical, okay, to say now, oh, let's change the structure of the way that park is managed or whatever it is, because if everybody, there was a lot of concern, I repeat, in January and February, we could have picked another chairman, and that wasn't done. That would have been the easiest way. You didn't have to restructure the management trust in Bayfront the way you're intending now, and so forth. So as for me, based on that information, and I've made myself clear, okay, and some of us haven't been here for 7 or 8 years, some of us have not. okay? But if there was a big problem, boy, oh boy, this should have been addressed a long time ago. I will be voting against taking the gym equipment out because I, like you, agree, and I agreed with you in the beginning, but it went through the referendum, and what's done is done, and I think we should end it there at some point. And regarding the management, I am not going to vote, do not count on my vote to change any the structure of the way it is now. I don't count for my vote for that. And plus, apart from that, I've been told, City Manager, I asked you about this, whether this is going to cost us money, and I believe you said it was going to cost us money. Am I correct in that?
Which item was going to cost us money?
If it's the restructuring of Maurice Ferre Park and so forth.
You're talking about the item where we bifurcate Maurice Ferre from the trust management? Yeah, it would clearly cost the city money.
That's what I'm, at any rate, so my vote is no on that.
That's
I'm
not
done.
the item.
1 second.
Thank
one
you.
No,
second.
but that's, I think, what he's referencing. It has nothing to do with this.
That's not this item.
Okay. Vice Chair, Commissioner Reyes.
See, since I was shown there at calling at a regional park, and since I remember, since I was a little kid, we used to come to Miami and go to Bayfront Park, el Parque de las Palomas. And el Parque de las Palomas was a park it was, in my opinion, was the pride of Miami at the time, the whole city of Miami. We had the library there, we had all the pigeons when you went, and we got all the statues there. It was a real park. I was totally opposed when Naguchi came in and started redoing the park the way it was done. But it was always, and that's why I said it is a regional park. Because when we were in Hialeah, and we were talking about, let's go to a park and all of that, we drove all the way to downtown. And to the Parque de la Paloma. It was famous. When tourists came in, they took pictures with pigeons all over them. It was a park. It was the what do you call it? Central Park. It was the main park of Miami. See, and it was used and enjoyed by every single resident of the city and the tourists and anybody that came from it. In my opinion, that's a regional park. In my opinion. And that's why it's stated, yes, it's in my opinion, it's a regional park. Because it's a park that everybody, every one of us have enjoyed. Not to the extent that I don't enjoy it to the extent that I did enjoy it before Naguchi, but I still enjoyed it. You see? Enjoyed it. And that is my opinion of a park that it is regional, is the park that is enjoyed by every single resident whenever they want. You see? And then the people make an effort to get there. You see? And going and then to the structure, I don't have anything against Carollo being the chairman, and we are not voting, if we vote in restructuring, we are not voting on getting rid of Carollo, who was going to, he promised that he is going to, give up the chairmanship in January or at the end of this year. What I see here is a similarity with what we did with Virginia Key. You see, the trust, Virginia Key Trust, what we did in Virginia Key, we took over, we as a commission, as the policymakers, we took over the decision that was going to be made. It comes to us and we vote on it and we discuss on it. And I'm thinking about that, and that it is quite similar. It is quite similar. You see, what we did, instead of having a board, and we take ownership of that. Because if it is a regional park, you see, we, the commission, should be the ones that are responsible for it. You see, that is my point. That is my point. Nothing against Joe or anything. But that is my point. And if a word, that will mean that taking him away from it, I would vote no. But if it is for us to take ownership on it as the legislative body, I agree with you. We are not doing that bad with Virginia Key, Madam Chair. You see, you are doing a great job. You see, you're doing a great job with Virginia Key, and things are getting done, okay? And all of us feel part of it, and the whole city feels part of it. That is my point. I mean, I don't know, it's my view. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but it is what I've been thinking about.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, if you could please give me some leeway in time, because there's been so much that's been said. And well, I'm going to need more than that. But what he said. I've never seen an organization that has been so successful as the Bayfront Park Trust since I have come with a board, being his chairman, and together we have worked together to improve this park, that the reward that they get is that they want to fire all of them. And that is what it is. But imagine what the commissioner would be saying if instead of him having lost 80-20 this election, it would have been the other way around, and I come up with a motion to fire him as the CRA OMNI chairman. He would have said, and rightly so, he's targeting me, he's going after me because he's upset on the election. Well, why didn't he bring this up at any time before, even during the election? He brought it after the election because of the frustration. And to show you how the board and I have brought the Bayfront Park Trust, we're not a penny from the neighbors across the street or from anybody in the city's used to run both these parks. When I became chairman at December 17, this was bringing less than $3 million a year, Bayfront Park Trust. Today, it is bringing over $13 million a year in revenue. Revenues that the residents of Miami are not paying through their taxes. We have listened to what residents want. This is why we built a dog park in Maurice Ferre Park. That's one side is for large dogs, one is for small dogs. A few people still want to refuse to put their dogs in a leash, like all the other residents do. 2 of them came here today out of the 4 that came to speak. We did another dog park in in Bayfront Park. Long before his handful of residents that he talks about, like if, there are thousands of people there, as a young man, it was Maurice Ferre that took me by one hand and Claude Pepper by the other to show me Bicentennial Park when he was named at. And it didn't work out for many reasons. When I was mayor, it was the executive director, the publisher of the then Miami Herald, not the tabloid that it is today, that came to me and asked me to help him with the museum that you have there, the Paris Museum. And then we discussed about the possibility of the Frost Museum, and that became a reality. The handful of the people that he's talking about, the one that has lived there the longest is maybe 8 or 9 years. Most of the others have moved in the last 3 to 5 years, more or less. But it's a very small group. We have in Bayfront Park the best sculpture garden that there is in Miami. 2 whole blocks of beautiful flowers. Many of you have seen, and certainly throughout the world, it's become popular and throughout our country. The Dogs and Cats Walkway, 57 statues that were painted by our local residents. Over 350,000 people came the first year to see it. We brought in, for the first time, art to put into the park in exhibitions. For a year, we had 15 statues of one of the best artists,
Vice
one
Chair,
of the top 5 in the world.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm holding my colleagues to the 5 minutes, and then they're going to say I'm showing you favor, and I don't want that. We know about all of the great things that have happened in the park, or all of the contributions.
Two last things that I
Two
I
last
could bring in.
things.
Yeah.
Two last
Okay.
things.
One, this baloney that he's bringing up to help these people and their lawsuits, that 50% of the people in my district think that these people in this bar have been in business or gotten their money, whatever he said, from the Venezuelan government. That's a lie. Nobody says that. I never said that. That's a lie that they used to defame me and pretend that they were being targeted. And he knows that. He said this here today only to help them in their other lawsuit and in their negotiations. The lawsuit that he kept talking about, you know why we have this other lawsuit? Because he's the one that put it together. He was in a Zoom call with a group. There was a couple of attorneys. You know what they said? This is going to be great to get Karoy with this. He's the one that went and put out a PAC and asked people to put money into that PAC. And who put money into the PAC, among others? The people that he claimed that we're accusing them, which is false, of taking Venezuelan money into their business. They put money into that. At least one or more of the developers that wants all this money from the OMNI CRA, including the wife, I am told, of one of the billboard company individuals.
Commissioner,
So
I'm going to ask you, please, let's move on. I have a motion. I have a second to defer this item.
Madam Chair, can I just add one quick thing? Just
Quickly.
it's very quick.
then let me
I
add
promise.
a quick one,
Quick,
'cause-
quick.
I promise.
But you went beyond the 5. I'm keeping everybody to the 5, so I did extend the time for you a bit.
I just want to say, obviously, the park is very different today than what it was before. There's always been a regional element, but now there's a neighborhood element. On the ballot, 80-20. Why? Because people did not know. It was never said this was a referendum. Most people thought it was a straw vote, straw poll. So the resistance to all of this didn't happen until the last week, the last 10 days. So, it's the way everything was played out, and that's why we really shouldn't do it that way. The last thing I want to say is, as District 2 Commissioner, people think, oh, you should be the chair of the Bayfront Park Trust. That's why you're hearing what you're hearing. However, with this structure, even keeping Commissioner Carollo exactly in his place, I'm fine because there's District 2 representation. We're all on that board, and there are 2 seats for District 2. So it's a compromise.
Again, my position is that we should take this up in January when we address our boards and the board chairs. That's my position. That's the motion on the floor. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
I believe that's 4-1.
So again, for the record, 4-1 with Commissioner Pardo voting no.
Correct. When we take up our chairmanships in January. In January. Mr. City Attorney, would you please read into the record the titles for the PZ items?
Yes, Madam Chair.
That would be PZ 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yes. PZ3, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan of the City of Miami, Florida, pursuant to the expedited state review process subject to section 163.3184 Florida statutes by amending the future land use map interpretation for the duplex residential future land use designation and the correspondence chart to accommodate a residential density increase up to 100% in certain cases up to a maximum of 2 dwelling units containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ4, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended by amending Article 4, Tables 3 and 4, and by amending Article 5, Illustration 5.3, to clarify the buildable units within T30, Suburban Transit Zone open, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ5, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by amending Article 3, titled General to Zones, to expand the Affordable Housing Transfer of Development Density Program to include opportunity zones and to provide other minor clarifications containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ6, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to 163.3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from major institutional, public facilities, transportation, and utilities to restricted commercial of the acreage described herein of the southwestern portion of real property at 980 MacArthur Causeway, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings and providing for an effective date. PZ7, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments, amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended Miami 21 Code by changing the zoning classification from CI, Civic Institutional Transit Zone, to CS, Civic Space Transit Zone, for the southwestern portion of the property generally located at 980 MacArthur Causeway, Miami, Florida, or particularly described in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, PZ1, may I have a motion for reconsideration? PZ1. Yes.
PC1, what is PC1 again? I'm sorry, I'm in La La Land right now.
PZ1 is the gym equipment we have
Gym
to
equipment.
reconsider.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I may.
More on this? You want to discuss more on this?
No, I'm talking about the reconsideration.
That's PZ1.
That's right. PC1, what I'm going to say this, it's very simple. People spoke,
Yes.
okay? I don't think that we should reconsider this because we are opening a Pandora box. When we are
We have to. Legally, we have to.
No, we don't have. Mr. City Attorney, the only thing that he has to do is get a warrant, and that's it.
But we have to reconsider to go to PZ2 for the warrant. So that's the process. So I have a
But we don't.
Well, boy,
the
you guys-
vote is not reconsidered.
You guys got me confused now.
Mr. City Attorney, can you please explain what needs to be, what is PZ1? What are we voting for?
So PZ1 is it's essentially an opportunity for the commission to reconsider resolution number R240212, which denied the appeal filed by Arthur Noriega, the City of Miami manager, and Miguel Ferrer, the then director of Bayfront Park. This is a procedural motion.
But you don't need that.
It was noticed on the agenda so that the opponents would have an opportunity to understand what the city commission was doing. It's no different than any time you would make a motion to reconsider. This is one of the ways that let me just go sort of read a brief statement. We're here in response to the results of the City of Miami referendum special election held on August 20, 2024. As you know, there was a question on the ballot that required, and you saw it on earlier, shall the City of Miami keep already installed outdoor gym equipment like in many of our parks at the City Park located at 1075 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida 33132, also known as Maurice A. Ferre Park, to enhance residential facilities and promote community health and fitness for all our residents. And as shown in RE1, where you acknowledge the results of the election, over 79% of the electorate voted to approve referendum question number 3. However, the election results only guarantee that the gym equipment shall remain in Maurice Ferre Park. We are left with the issue of a warrant is needed to open up the gym equipment for use. The referendum question did not have the effect of granting a warrant for its use because Florida law does not permit development orders such as a warrant to be granted by referendum or initiative. So in order to resolve the warrant question, it is the advice of my office that the reconsideration of the warrant appeal item is appropriate. The reconsideration is appropriate pursuant to the City Commission's Rule of Procedures, Mason's rules. Particularly, we looked at Chapter 41, Section 450, right to reconsider, and 451 allows the reconsideration of items where, essentially, it says, an action cannot be reconsidered when, for any reason, it is not possible to cancel, nullify, or void the action previously taken. In general, the action cannot be canceled or made ineffective when, A, vested rights have been acquired as a result of the action. So upon the determination of the City Commission in R240212, nothing changed. The gym equipment remained. There was a fence around it. There were no vested rights either given or taken away. So there were no vested rights acquired as a result of the action after the adoption of the resolution. B, rights cannot be constitutionally or legally taken away. Doesn't apply here. The subject is beyond, C, the subject is beyond the control or out of the reach of the body taking the original action. It's our position that it is still within the control of the City Commission. D, it may be inhibited from acting by the requirement of notice. We put forth notice, and in the event that the City Commission decides to reconsider PZ2, that item has been properly noticed for today's hearing, so that is not an issue. So every legislative body has the inherent right to reconsider a vote on an action previously taken by it. So we believe it's appropriate to reconsider the item. Reconsidering the item does not open the door to reconsider every item of the City Commission. The determination of whether an item may be reconsidered is to be conducted on a case-by-case basis. So if somebody wants to make a motion to reconsider a past action of the City Commission, we will look at the rules, your rules, to determine whether or not it is appropriate to consider that item. In most instances, it would not be appropriate because vested rights would have been acquired by a result of the action. Here, this is a unique case. And further, you heard earlier today from Mr. Burton, I believe it is, who is representing the parties in the election case where they're disputing the ballot question, and he provided a document that was distributed to the City Commission and is part of this record, wherein he makes his argument against the reconsideration of this item. There were a couple issues with that, as I briefly spoke to him and indicated this is not a motion of the planning department. It's actually a motion of a member of the City Commission, if a member so makes that motion. Mason's is clearly the rules of the City Commission, and the City Clerk can provide the copy of the resolution from what year was that? (1972).
1960.
1960. So since time immemorial, certainly before my time, Mason's has been the rule of the Miami City Commission. It's appropriate under the Mason rules if there is a desire to reconsider the item. If the City Commission agrees to reconsider the item, then we will move to PZ2. The reconsideration will reset the item, and consequently a vote will be required to either approve or deny the appeal. It'll be like resetting the clock. I suggest that if you do reconsider the item and you open it up, that you give some time, I suggest 10 minutes on each side, for the parties to speak to the reconsideration and/or to the appellate issues. If you want, and ultimately, as I'll explain at the end of that, if you want the gym equipment to be used, you'll vote to grant the appeal, reverse the PZAB, and affirm the granting of the warrant. Or, if you want to preserve the status quo, you should vote to deny the appeal, affirm the PZAB, and reverse the decision of the planning department. So PZ1 is just a procedural motion to determine whether or not you wish to reconsider PZ2.
Thank you, George. Do I have a motion for PZ1 to reconsider?
Commissioner Correa made the motion at 4:51 p.m.
And who made a second? Is there a second to reconsider PZ1? I second it. We can't get to PZ2 to allow the community to use the gym equipment if we don't reconsider PZ1. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
We don't have an opportunity to comment?
Oh, weren't you going to comment on number 2?
No.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't believe that they need 10 minutes. I don't get 10 minutes in court. So I'm going to allow our city attorney to start.
It's related to the rehearing.
The reconsideration.
Reconsideration.
5 minutes.
I'm not that clear, Madam Chair. I want more.
Okay, can we clear
We should
this up for
defer.
Commissioner Carollo? What? Somebody said what?
I thought it was saying defer.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm not that clear because when I spoke with you, see, there were 3 options. Okay?
I can't hear you.
There were 3 options, and one of the options were, you see, the people spoke.
Yes.
And the only thing that the trust had to do is to reapply for a warrant, and that's it.
Right.
We don't have to go through all of this. Yeah. I mean, that is because personally, I am against reconsidering things that have been passed months ago, because I would like to reconsider a bunch of things that I was in the minority. I was in the losing side. You see? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're asking for a reconsideration, you have to be on the winning side.
Right.
You see?
No, actually, I'm sorry. Pursuant to Mason's rules, and you can clarify with the
Okay.
city clerk, under Mason's,
But
any member can
You
move to
told me that it was not needed.
Yeah, well, let me.
That the only thing was, okay, people spoke, 80% of the people say yes, the equipment is going to stay there, that's going to stay there, and that's what is needed for that to stay there. An application for a grant, and that's it.
Yeah. And
That's it. I mean, that is my point, and I don't think we have to complicate this that much.
I apologize, Mr. Commissioner. You're right. I did tell you there were 3 options. Option 1 is to reconsider. Option 2 is to amend Miami 21 to remove the requirement for a warrant for the city to place gym equipment in a city park. And option number 3 would be to reapply for the warrant and start the process all over again. And the administration decided the most expeditious way, because there is a concern that I guess the gym equipment is currently surrounded by a fence and is unable to be used. They chose option number 1, which was the reconsideration. So that you're right, sir. There are 3 options.
That's the one that I told you. I mean, because we're setting an example. I mean, you have to ask for a warrant, and that's it. Like everybody, I do that. I have nothing against the equipment, exercise equipment. Every single one of my parks have one. But I have to go through a warrant. You see? I have to go through a warrant. And that is, I don't want to set any precedents here, or create a precedent that you can come in and I said, okay, I don't agree with the vote that we took with Maurice, for example. I want to reconsider that because we need a 4/5, and now I have 2 people that are against it. You see, you understand my point, Madam Chair?
I understand your point.
Could we just add?
City attorneys.
The planning. I'm sorry. The planning director was saying that there is a warrant. The planning department issued a warrant.
Correct.
And essentially, you would. Well, let me.
Right. So the warrant's been applied for. The equipment, it went through the warrant process, it was appealed, and it was was appealed again to commission. So now this is to rehear that appeal for the warrant. It's been applied for. If we don't go through this process, they're going to apply for the warrant again, they're going to appeal again, we're going to be right back here again.
I think I'd like to keep doing that, because they seem to be doing it to my Alapado thing. Nobody says we're going to do this. So you know what? Not that I'm for the gym equipment or against the gym equipment or vice versa, but I think I like that idea. You know what I mean? If keep going like they've been doing to me on my Alapado thing. I said, this is what I want. And then over there they say, you got to have this. Over here they say, no, you can't have this. And you know what? Whatever keeps it going, that's the way I'm going to vote.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chairwoman, may I be heard?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Amanda Cork-Hand, offices at 1395 Brickell Avenue, Suite 800. On behalf of the City of Miami as outside counsel in this matter, I represent the Bayfront Park Trust and the City of Miami as appellants in this case. We would like for you to reconsider the item on the basis there is very, very limited circumstances in which Florida case law supports the reconsideration of items. An administrative agency may have inherent authority to reconsider their decisions where there is substantial change in circumstances. In this case, the previous decision there was many statements made on the record in support of the previous decision that there was no support for the gym equipment. And that is not the case. As you noted, and I would like to enter into the record, I will give this to the clerk at the end. On August 27th, the supervisor of elections certified the election that 80% of the residents of the City of Miami are in support of the gym equipment. So in light of this additional fact that was not able to be considered, we would respectfully request that you reconsider. There is something else that came up today on the public record that I must bring to this board's attention. Mr. Stephen Smith did state on the record that he is now a board member of the Bayfront Park Trust, and he also signed the appeal that went to the PZAB that we are all here on today. There is also case law that indicates that you cannot appeal yourself. So in other words, would you be sitting here taking an appeal of a member of the Planning and Zoning Appeals Board of a decision of the Planning and Zoning Appeals Board? The Bayfront Park Trust is the applicant and the appellant in this case. So we'd like for you to also consider that fact for those two reasons, and those are limited and exceptional circumstances in which the decision can be reconsidered. And as the planning director has pointed out, that gym equipment, the building permit was approved 1 year ago tomorrow. So we have gym equipment sitting there for a year, not being used, and many residents, 80% of them are wondering why.
Madam Chairman, Madam Chairwoman, I was not on the board at the time of this appeal, at the time that it was deemed illegal before the PZAP, at the time before this commission agreed with PZAP that the gym equipment was installed illegally. I find it hard to believe that at this stage, over such a minuscule item, that the city now sits here arguing that I'm now not able to articulate an argument to support my appeal.
That's an additional fact that was raised today on the public record.
Madam Chairman, respectfully, this reconsideration must legally be denied. Unfortunately, this commission lacks any jurisdiction. The moment in time when that became true was the 30th day after May 23rd, when the PZAB appeal was denied without further appeal to the circuit court. And just to clarify, the city attorney's comments about Mason's legislative manual, it is inapplicable. The applicable procedures are set forth in Miami 21. These are quasi-judicial proceedings. The commission acts in a quasi-judicial proceeding as an appellate board of quasi-judges, not as legislators. That's the reason why you cannot go back after the appeal time is over and revisit this. We cited cases in the letter that was provided to the commission. Mills against Laris Painting Company. It's a Florida Supreme Court case. What it said, it has frequently been held that administrative agencies have inherent or implied power, as my colleague has indicated, comparable to that possessed by courts to rehear or reopen a cause and reconsider its action or determination therein where the proceeding is in essence a judicial one. It is also generally recognized that the power to rehear or reconsider must be exercised before an appeal from the original order of the administrative body has been lodged or before such order has become final by lapse of time without a timely appeal. This has been reiterated in the Florida cases. We also cited a case Smoll against the town of Jupiter. That had to do with a zoning appeal. It's very on point. There's a bunch of other cases that we cited, and there's a bunch that we also did not. So were this board to act, it would be assuming jurisdiction that it does not have. The jurisdiction is conferred not only by Florida case law, but Miami 21. Mason's manual, to the extent it could ever apply, applies only to legislative enactments and not to quasi-judicial enactments. The city attorney's representation confuses that important distinction. And that is the reason, to Commissioner Reyes' point, why we don't revisit Mel Reese and all the other things that have ever been appealed to this body. So I don't want to take an opinion as to how the city should react to the 80 or 79, to be accurate, % vote. We're obviously in litigation contending that it was an illegal election. But to the extent the city will do that, I can't give it advice. But one avenue that is not available to it is reconsidering the denial of the PZAB appeal. Otherwise, anyone who's ever failed at the PZAB appeal before this commission could equally say there's a change in consideration and a change in circumstances, and we should revisit it now. It is absolutely foreclosed. I would add with one final thing. If this body grants PZ1 and reconsiders and opens this all up, our request would be that PZ2, the substantive reconsideration, the rehearing, the representation of evidence. First of all, Miami 21 is absolutely clear that new evidence may not be considered. These are de novo appeals. The fact that there was a subsequent election is legally irrelevant to this appeal and may not be considered. Whatever the city wants to do with it, it cannot handle it that way. That's number one. Number two, given the fact that this was only noticed on the commission agenda last week, and this does not apply with the appeal notice procedures that would otherwise be relevant to a PZAB appeal, we would request that if reconsideration is granted in PZ1, that the substantive rehearing be deferred so that our clients can have further time to present their case to the extent that it is reheard. That would be our request.
And Chair, my apologies. Can I have both of speakers, can I have you both state your name on the record?
Steve Smith, 900 Biscayne.
My name is Mark Burton.
Thank you.
I
As the city attorney.
Clarify one comment. PZ2 was properly noticed. Notice was sent to the property owners by the planning department in a timely manner. And so you may not have seen it because you're not an attorney of record for the PZ2 item, but I can assure you that the notice was properly sent out for PZ2.
My understanding is that notice requires for appeals of the PZAB to the commission a certain number of days, a certain amount of publication in papers of record, and so on and so forth, that I do not believe occurred in this circumstance.
Okay, we're not going to go back and forth on. The city attorney has said that the notice was proper. We're going to leave it at that.
Madam Chairman, I did not, as the appellant, receive any notice in the mail or otherwise that this was going to be reheard.
Are you here?
Yeah, because of that doesn't mean that you followed the law and notified me properly.
I know.
Just to clarify or reiterate the point that the city attorney made on the record, this is a really unique case because the city of Miami could not appeal the previous decision. So it is our position that the board never lost any jurisdiction over this matter. In other words, the city commission could not appeal itself, so that jurisdiction has not been lost and the matter may be reconsidered in this special circumstance.
There is case law to the effect that the second there was a written order, the clock began.
Thank you. And Ms. Hand, we don't need the back and forth with all attorneys present. And we lost a colleague, so we're going to see. I personally like the option 2 or 3 to move forward without having the reconsideration. I'm not swayed one way or the other by someone suing the city. We're a litigious society. You can sue for whatever. Doesn't mean that your lawsuit has merit. Doesn't mean that your lawsuit doesn't have merit. I'm not saying whether you have merit or not. I'm not going in that direction. Okay, let's take up. Does anyone want to discuss PZ 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? Can we dispose of those items?
Did we have a motion on the floor?
No. For PZ 3 through 7, no. Only the titles read into
No,
the
for
record.
PZ 1.
No. Yeah, if you're going to table PZ
I
1
can
to wait
table
for
it.
the
I'll
fifth
table it.
commissioner.
Yes.
Absolutely. So PZ 1 is tabled. Right now we're discussing PZ 3 through 7.
4, yes, 3,
And,
4, 5, 6, and 7.
And my apologies, Chair. Briefly, PZ 3 needs to be amended pursuant to substitution memo dated September 5th, 2024. PZ 4 needs to be amended. It contains a blank that needs to be filled in with an ordinance number. PZ 6 and 7 both need to be amended to add PZAB meeting information. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. May I have a motion for PZ 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7?
Can we take them? Okay. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor for PZ 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, as amended for PZ 3, 4, 6, and 7. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we are back with PZ 1, I believe.
Did we pass PZ 5 or not yet?
Yes.
Yes.
We did, okay.
Yes, you just voted in
3
favor.
to 7 were passed.
Yes, 3 to
3
7.
to 7.
Now, because there has been so much conversation, and Mr. City Attorney,
Yes, Madam Chair.
with this reconsideration, give us some guidance. This is what you provided in my briefing. I don't know about anybody else's briefing, but that is what I was told was the best path forward to get to having the gym equipment being used by the community. My colleague is saying here that he doesn't care for the reconsideration. I don't know. Maybe we can defer PZ 1 and 2 until we can get more information.
Good idea.
Would that's, I heard a
Agreed.
good idea. May I have a motion to defer PZ 1 and 2?
My apologies, yes. I just need the date.
Next meeting?
Or maybe the October meeting, because the next meeting is the budget.
Or January.
You're out of
So to the October,
January isn't a bad idea.
to the October meeting.
October 10th, which is the first meeting.
The first meeting, yes.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I'm not in town that week.
Thank you. Thank you for your advocacy.
Thank you. Just for clarification, PZ 1 and 2 are both
Deferred.
deferred.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And at this time, I am going to turn the gavel over to our vice chair to, I believe, well, all we have are boards left.
Yeah, we're well done.
We have FO1.
What do we, FO what?
No, that was deferred.
It was
to-
deferred? Okay.
Yes, that
Thank
was
you.
deferred. So
DI 3.
can we consider DI3?
We don't need to.
We don't need to. Okay.
So DI 3 is a part of FR2.
Yes,
So just
would be
discussed
part-
with FR2.
would
Yeah.
be part of FR2. And for the boards, how many? Mr. City Attorney? City Clerk?
Yes, we have BC6, Code Compliance Task Force. The task force has been sunsetted, therefore this item needs to be withdrawn. So if I could have a motion to withdraw BC6.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
BC17, Miami Forever Bond Program Citizens Oversight Board. Chair King will be appointing George Ruiz Calderon.
I have a motion. Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
BC19, Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board. Commissioner Reyes will be appointing Maria de Corollas.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
That concludes the boards and committees. Thank you, Chair.
And that shall conclude the City of Miami Commission meeting for September 12th, 2024. Thank you all for your advocacy. See you soon.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice cream.